Orbiting the dead planet Varnix, the massive space fortress Black Spire Station was considered untouchable. It was a moving war city, a behemoth of dark metal guarded by swarms of automated cannons and thousands of elite alien soldiers. For centuries, it had been a symbol of absolute power, a silent, deadly sentinel in the void. No one had ever breached it. No fleet had ever dared. Until today. Today, one human was shot into it like a bullet from a gun. His name was Ronan Cross. He was a Death Worlder, a salt operative from Earth, a place where survival itself was a constant battle. His dropship, the last of its squadron, was obliterated mid-orbit, torn apart by the station's relentless defenses. In the chaos of fire and twisted metal, Ronan was the sole survivor, launched straight toward Black Spire Station. His equipment: a broken thruster pack sputtering erratically, and a single pulse rifle clutched in his gauntlets. Not an army, not even a squad. Just one man against a fortress. He hit the outer hull not like a visitor, but like a meteor. The impact was a scream of tortured metal as he crashed through layers of armor plating and into the station escorts. Immediately, alarms blared to life, a cacophony of sirens echoing through the endless corridors. The entire structure powered up, not for defense, but for annihilation. Gravity generators sputtered, shut off, and then reversed with a bone-jarring lurch. Hallways twisted and contorted like metallic snakes. Walls became floors, and floors became ceilings. Alien soldiers, caught by surprise, were thrown into the air, floating helplessly as chaos exploded around them. But Ronan didn't panic. He didn't flail or scream. He smiled. This was his element. In the disorienting ballet of zero gravity, he became a ghost, an apex predator in a new, three-dimensional jungle. He kicked off a piece of floating debris, spinning through corridors with the grace of a dancer. He fired his rifle in all directions, 360 degrees of lethal precision. Blinding flashes of pulse rounds lit up the darkness, each one finding its mark. The alien soldiers, bred for disciplined ground warfare, struggled to stabilize themselves, their movements clumsy and desperate. Ronan used that hesitation, that brief moment of vulnerability. He drifted behind them like a phantom, a whisper in the dark, and took them out silently, one by one. They never even saw him coming. But the station had more than just organic soldiers. Its immune system kicked in. Drones. Dozens of them poured from hidden alcoves in the walls. These were killing machines of polished chrome and red optics. They had bladed arms that whirred with deadly intent, laser cores that glowed with a promise of incineration, and magnetic boots that allowed them to scuttle along any surface, defying the chaotic gravity shifts. They were fast, relentless, and they quickly cornered him. He found himself inside the central reactor sphere, a massive, floating chamber that glowed with the ethereal blue of unstable energy, the very heart of Black Spire Station. The drones closed in, their lasers painting his suit with targeting reticles. Trapped, with nowhere to run. But Ronan didn't run. Improvised. He grabbed a loose metal panel floating nearby, a piece of shrapnel from his own violent entry, and turned it into a makeshift shield. He angled it perfectly, deflecting the drone's EMP charges, bouncing them off the curved walls of the reactor chamber. The blasts ricocheted, hitting the drones from every angle, frying their circuits. One by one, the war drones fell from the air like a shower of burning stars, their red lights blinking out into darkness. The chamber fell silent, the blue glow of the reactor casting long shadows. But the fight wasn't over. A new presence entered the sphere. Heavy, magnetic footfalls announced his arrival. The Gravemaster, Commander, a towering alien general, encased in a sophisticated gravity control exosuit that made him a god in this environment. He stepped into the chamber and, with a flick of a switch on his wrist, activated full gravity confinement. The air itself turned into a crushing wall. The pressure was immense, driving Ronan down, trying to flatten him against the spherical floor. His combat suit groaned and cracked under the strain. A trickle of blood floated out from a fracture in his helmet, a ruby cloud in the blue light. The commander hissed, his voice a gravelly rumble, amplified by his helmet. "You're nothing in the void, human. A fragile insect, easily crushed." Ronan wiped the blood from his eyes, his gaze steady, defiant. He looked at the hulking figure of the general and whispered. The words meant only for himself. A promise and a prayer. Humans were born fighting gravity. With a final, desperate act, he overloaded his broken thruster pack. It wasn't a controlled burn, it was a detonation. An explosive, focused blast erupted from his back, launching him forward like a human cannonball. He shot straight through the general's midsection, a blur of motion and raw power. The impact was catastrophic. The combined force of the explosion and the collision smashed them both, through the reactor-S containment wall and out into the cold, silent vacuum of open space. The Gravemaster Commander's exosuit sputtered, its systems failing in the void, and his massive body went rigid, freezing in the eternal night. But Ronan didn't freeze. He was a creature of the void now. He tethered himself back to the bleeding wound in the station's side, his movements sure and steady. He climbed along the hull until he found it, the external control spine. He tore open the access panel with his bare hands and slammed in a manual overload, short-circuiting the entire fortress. Instantly, Blackspire Station went dark. Its thousands of cannons went silent. Its impenetrable shields collapsed. Its menacing lights blinked out, leaving only a dead, powerless hulk drifting in the shadow of Varnix. Bike-on-Earth frantic technicians watched their scanners in disbelief. The fortress that had terrorized the quadrant for a generation was dead in the water, and their screens showed only one thing more. A silent fortress, drifting powerless, and one small human figure floating beside it. A solitary god of war watching over his conquest. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more epic tales from across the galaxy. See you next time.